You're listening to Quorum Radio.
Talking about interviews and talking to people that connected to the Oswalds, one of whom was literally connected to the Oswalds. Oswald himself was Jim Leavelle, and you met him, and you spoke to him at some length. Tell us about your contact with Jim Leavelle.
Well, this would be a good opportunity to plug another one of our groups. It's called Friends Who Like Jim Leavelle. Friends Who Like Jim Leavelle.
I didn't know about that.
It's made up of people who admire him, followed his career. Many of his relatives are in this group as well.
Really?
And we post pictures, rare pictures in this group. Some of the members will share their experiences with Jim, too. So take a look at it.
Yeah, he was yeah, sure. I didn't know about that. Thank you for letting me know. It's interesting. So now, did you meet Jim Leavelle in Dallas, or tell us about your contact with Jim Leavelle?
Well, I picked the first person I wanted to meet when I started studying the assassination was Jim Leavelle, and the reason is it just seems that he was the easiest to get to. But when I called Jim Leavelle, I was really, really nervous and talked myself into calling Jim, and I did. It was February of '96. And I took notes too when I spoke to him. He eventually said, "Yeah, come on down when you're in town and come by and visit." And I did, that
Amazing.
Every 6 months for several years.
Wow! So you guys got to be acquaintances, friends, pretty much.
Yes.
Wow! Wow! Yeah, real gentleman. He looks pretty much the same. I mean, he always had that Texas Ranger style hat. I don't know if that's the Texas Ranger hat or not. The white hat. You know, he was a member of the. Oh, well, you tell me, it was Dallas Police Department, right?
Right. He was a detective. Do you want a Jim Leavelle hat story?
Yeah, give me a Jim Leavelle hat story. That sounds good.
You got it. One time, I think he said he was traveling up in Helene, Montana. Helena, or wherever that is. Okay.
Yeah, Helena.
He's walking through the airport wearing that hat, and he was heading to the restroom, and an elderly lady was sitting there waiting for her plane to depart. And she looks at Jim and she says, "Hey, I know you. I've seen you on TV." And Jim says, Jim said, "Hello, nice to meet you." He went to the restroom, and then he's walking back to his gate, and the lady said, I know I've seen you, but I just can't picture where I saw you at." and then she finally said, "Oh, okay, you're John Wayne. You're John Wayne." And Jim said, "That's right, ma'am. Nice to meet you." And he kept on going.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he had probably a lot of encounters like that because he's a very open man, and he had his distinctive style. I remember just before he died, he was still wearing that white hat, and just accessible to people. He's a real ambassador for Texans. About
a few of us within our group, it was Bill Brown, myself, and Frank Battleson. We were lucky enough to go visit with Jim on our next to last Dallas visit. We were actually over at his house for 5 hours. We were talking to him for 5 hours. And this is right before his Denver trip, right before he passed. So we may have been one of the last groups to visit with him. And I got to tell you, at the end of 5 hours, I was just whipped. I wanted to get out of there, go back to the hotel, lay down. But he was still going strong. He was just just going strong as ever. And
wow.
and I think a week later he would have been 99 years old.
Amazing.
So we had a really, really nice visit with him.
Wow. So then, and talking about, I guess this was 11/24, right? 1963.
Correct.
When he took that little trip with Oswald into the parking garage. I just wanted, before I get to that, the one thing I did want to ask you is that did Jim have the opportunity to interrogate Oswald, deal with Oswald, besides that last moment of when Oswald was just before he got shot? Did he talk to, or did he meet with Oswald on the 22nd when he was apprehended in the theater, or on the 23rd, Saturday?
Well, he met him. Well, he had him briefly the 22nd, that Friday, when he brought him in from the Texas Theater. He had him just briefly, and then the second time he saw Oswald was on the 24th, just briefly before Ruby shot Oswald. But Jim tells he kind of jokes a little bit. He'll say, that on the 24th, that was on a Sunday. Yeah. And I was also in Pearl Harbor on December the 7th. That was also on a Sunday. A lot of people don't know that, but Jim was in Pearl Harbor December 7th, 1941. He was in the Navy. But
Navy, okay.
Navy,
wow.
Navy. And he said, any more, Dave, I just stay home on Sundays. Yeah.
Amazing.
But his second visit with Oswald was when they were escorting him, down the elevator to move him to the county jail uptown there.
Sure.
At Dealey Plaza. And he had an encounter with Oswald there. So, is that what you're asking about?
Yeah, sure. Just tell us briefly what was discussed, what happened, what he remembers, what his recollections are of that particularly faithful moment.
What he told me, and I've heard him say this before on many interviews, is that they had Oswald on the elevator ready to go, and Oswald wanted a sweater. It was kind of chilly, November '63.
Yeah. Sure.
So they took him off the elevator. Oswald picked a sweater out, that black one you see, and recuff him. And then on the way down, Jim said to Oswald, well, if anybody starts shooting, I just hope they're as good a shot as you are, meaning that they hit him and not Jim. Then Oswald kind of smiled and said, well, nobody's going to shoot at me. And within a minute later, somebody did. But what's interesting about that comment is Oswald didn't deny shooting. He just said, oh, nobody's going to shoot me. He didn't deny anything. So in Jim's mind, that's another sign of guilt, being a detective. Sure.
Because he had his guard down,
Mm-hmm.
I think Jim Leavelle had kind of I don't want to say the gift of gab, but he put people at ease. He was a people
very
person.
Much so. Well, one thing he also said to me when he would interrogate the bad guys, he would say to them, whatever you say just might help you. That was a little trick to get him to talk. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I got another nice Jim story, if you allow me to tell it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Dave.
This is when another thing that Jim liked was children. So my daughters was 4 and 2 at the time. So he really liked kids. So I'm thinking, oh, that's working out. I'll use that to my advantage. No, just teasing. But anyway, we're down there visiting, and we're going to dinner. All right, we're all going out to dinner. It was me, Timey, Jim's wife, my two daughters. And so we go over to this restaurant across the lake there, and we're walking up to the door. Jim looks down and finds a key on the ground, a door key. Okay, so he bends down, picks it up. Most people would just give that to the manager or somebody, the hostess or somebody in the restaurant.
Sure.
Well, Jim, being a detective, he tried the front door and locked the front door to the restaurant. So then he walks around back and tries it on the back door. It works there too. So that's the detective in him, to where he wanted to find out what that key was really for. So then he turns it in.
How many years did he work with all his time in law enforcement with the Dallas PD?
26 years. He also told me that after he joined the police department, he had to gain some weight. He had to put on some weight. And then when he took the detective exam, he forgot to sign the test. So they made him wait the whole year to retake it. The detective.
Amazing.
Which he
Can
passed.
you imagine?
Yeah.
Wow. For sure. So what did Jim recall about that weekend? The assassination, the shooting, that kaleidoscope weekend of so many things happening, so much tension. What did he tell you? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Well, when he was down at Dealey Plaza helping with the witnesses, filling affidavits out, their testimonies. Sure. And he got called out to the Tippit shooting. And so he went out. He was involved in that. You can see him in photos and some footage there at 10th and Patton, the J.D. Tippit shooting. So
and
I think he was.
What did? Oh, go ahead.
I think he was in charge of the investigation initially.
What did Jim share with you decades later about that weekend and what happened?
Well, he just said his involvement. He would talk quite a bit about the Oswald transfer. He would talk about that. And one thing I've always admired about Jim Leavelle is his story never changed. Never.
Yeah.
He would tell me the same thing that I've heard on TV for 20 years. It never changed.
Right. And basically, because to do this incident justice, tell us exactly how it unfolded, and the immediate aftermath, which Jim must have been involved with, the transfer. What exactly unfolded? Oswald wanted a sweater. They went upstairs. They got him a sweater. Okay. He made the comment about, "I hope he's as good a shot as you are." Oswald smiled a little bit. Didn't deny it.
Right.
And then
came down the elevator, and as they exited the elevator, went through the jail office, Jim said that the TV lights kind of blinded him. He couldn't see very well. And then as they step out, he can see Jack Ruby beginning to take a step to shoot Oswald. And if you watch that famous film, you'll see that Jim is trying to turn Oswald, yanking on him to get him out of harm's way. Jim was handcuffed to Oswald. L.C. Graves was not. L.C. Graves had Oswald's left arm with his right hand, and then Oswald falls to the floor, and Jim uncuffs and goes with him to Parkland Hospital. And Jim showed me the exact spot he believed Oswald died on the way to Parkland Hospital. I found that area. He drove me over there one day.
So he thought that Oswald died on the way. He basically was dead on arrival.
Yes. Yes, he felt he died
Wow.
on the way. Yeah. They're on Harry Hines. They're headed Harry Hines. Oh, they're going down to Harry Hines, headed to Parkland.
Sure. So then, at any point after he got shot, did Oswald say anything at all?
Nothing. Didn't say anything.
Yeah,
But there on Harry Hines, he said that Oswald stiffened up and groaned and never made any noise after that.
Wow.
No sounds after that.
And so where was Jim? I mean, when we was taken to the hospital, was Jim there waiting in the waiting room? Or
well, he went inside the operating room, and because he asked that doctor, Jim could feel the bullet. He could roll around. He is poking out of the skin. He can move with his fingers, the bullet. And he told the doctor, first thing I want is that bullet right there. And the doctor hit it with a scalpel and popped it out into a tray. And Jim, there's a nurse in the room too, and he asked the nurse to put her initials on it, her mark, because he said, you and I will have to testify if there is a trial about this bullet.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Interesting. So when that bullet, I guess, went to the National Archives, it stayed in the Dallas PD. What happened?
I got it right here. In my pocket. No, I don't know where it is.
No, come on.
No, I'm teasing. I don't know where it is. It might be in. I don't know where it is. Archives, or it could be in Dallas. Right there in the Dallas police files. I don't know. That's a good question. But Jim also, he also has the suit and not the boots. He got rid of the boots, but he had the suit, tie, and hat, cuffs. He donated those on loan to the 6th Floor Museum. They're on display there. But one of my visits, I tried that coat on, and I've tried it on, and the hat. He put the cuffs on me. And,
the same ones? The same one that he used with Oswald?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Gosh. And then when my wife was taking our picture back then, he would say, hey, don't stand to my left. People tend to get shot. He had a nice sense of humor.
Yeah, oh, really? Huh? So then he supposedly just met with hundreds of people, right? Asking about
He, as I started out, he seemed to be the easiest to make contact with. But when I called him, he was a little bit gruff.
Really?
Yeah, I took notes. I still have the notes. He was a little bit. It kind of like when you're calling somebody to try to sell them insurance.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Kind of like that. Not real warm.
Not well received.
No.
It's not a good, gratifying phone call. My gosh. So then, but you persisted. That's good.
One funny thing he said was when they had captured Oswald at TT, the Texas Theater.
Sure.
As they approached Oswald, when Oswald took a punch at Nick McDonald, Officer McDonald, Jim said, good thing the other officers were with McDonald or Oswald would have whipped his butt.
Really?
He would have whipped
he was in
McDonald.
Good shape. I mean, McDonald was a little bit overweight. I think maybe he had a little bit of a beer belly.
He had that.
The way that unfolded was one whereby, they tell me something. You've been investigating this case for a long time. At the Texas Theater, once they turned the lights up, how bright was it? Was it bright enough to be able to see things clearly, or was it very, very faint, or what?
Love it. That's great. I've never been asked that before. That's good. I understand they turned the lights up. The film continued to run. There was a camera guy in there that was filming, but he didn't change his lens. So the footage you do see is very dark and grainy. There's no existing footage of that. Right.
Was there any picture at all taken within the theater itself?
No. No known pictures. No existing pictures. And I don't know of any witnesses that was watching the movie that's come forward either. But, you know, if it wasn't for Johnny Calvin Brewer,
yeah.
If it wasn't for Johnny Calvin Brewer, maybe he wouldn't have gotten captured. So I always say that part of Jefferson there, running in front of the theater, they should rename that Johnny Calvin Brewer Boulevard.
You got to be pretty good friends with a very extroverted guy, a real man of the people, Jim Leavelle, Dallas Police Department. So again, Dave, thanks a million for being on Quorum Radio.